Okay, welcome. Thanks for turning out at the first Saturday morning session. My name's Mark Abadi, for those of you who don't know me. I am a occupational health psychologist, so I work with stress and ergonomics, environmental psychology, that sort of thing. I'm also a therapist. While I was doing my therapies, reflexology, aromatherapy, that sort of thing, I started to feel energy moving in and out of things. For me, I'm a scientist, I'm a psychologist. That was a bit hard for me to understand, so what's going on? So I set about exploring it. So for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been looking at energy medicine and the science behind it. So if any of you are familiar with James Osmond, even Bruce Lipton to a certain degree, well, to a degree, is dealing with this sort of understanding, how it is that information gets communicated from one thing to another thing. And as such, I've been working with the Centre for Biofield Sciences, which is how I ended up here. Dr. Thornton Streeter, who was supposed to be here, who some of you might know, had some issues in India with his family, and so he couldn't make it. Anyway, what I'm doing here today, first let me just tell you about CBS, the Centre for Biofield Sciences. It's a lovely organisation, very simply for this. It has no rules to it. It is an organic organisation that grows. So, I mean, it's very much, if any of you have met Thornton, you'll understand the rulelessness of his spirit. He is drawn by spirit and led by spirit and really has very little organisation, which is frustrating for some people, but it's lovely for others because he wins you into an understanding of the spiritual movement that is going on behind the science that we're all doing and behind the therapy that we're all doing. We're all driven by spirit and by heart and unconditional love. Even though it's a hippie concept, that's what we're all driven by. So, the Centre for Biofield Sciences, basically we've got a sort of fourfold type of thing that we do in our structureless structure, which is basically we want to create a toolbox of energy field assessment devices. So we want to look at all the different devices that are on the market, find the ones that we think are actually doing something interesting, and put them together in a toolbox and say, there you go, that can help you. So we try and be as individual as independent as possible. We engage in cross-discipline research. And what I mean by that is we take psychometric studies, we take energetic devices, we take case studies, we take doctor's reports, heart rate variability. We cross-reference all of them. So it's a mind-body-spirit game. It's not oh, we're just psychologists or we're just energy therapists or work with quantum stuff. We cross it all round because we're holistic beings. We have physical body, we have mind, and we have an energetic status. So we're looking at the validity of different things. We're trying to get concurrent validity for these devices which don't have any validity. Concurrent validity, for those of you who aren't statistically minded, is when you've got a valid tool of reference, such as a psychometric, which has been approved by the establishment, and you've got another device which isn't approved. If you can show that they're both detecting similar things, if they've got a correlation and even a regression to them, one predicts the other, then you can have validity for your device that didn't have validity before. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay. We also deliver training in energy medicine. Now, this is one of my favourite side of things and why I really got into it, because I love to entice people into understanding there's some more to meet the eye. There's something more to the world than meets the eye. So there is an energetic communication system that's going on. So we train and we support the development of technology. That's very important. Something, I've just been in Sweden with James Osmond, and we had a big conference and we spoke with UNESCO about creating an organization that will umbrella all of these things. So it will be an NGO that will umbrella education, research, and development. Important for the development ones, because at the moment, people are developing things, and they're getting scared, and they want to make their money because they've been working 15 years on it, and they want to be paid, and so they hide things, and then they're secretive, and they're patenting, and it becomes a money-making scheme, and they get lost in it. So we want to use an organization to protect them. This is our office in Pune, at the World Peace Center, MIT. It's sponsored by UNESCO. So it's a UNESCO World Peace Center. So we are actually connected to UNESCO in India. This is an office in the UK we have in Exeter. It's a lovely place. So the history of the energy fields. Throughout time, throughout history, we've depicted energy fields. We've depicted measures. This is passing 50,000 volts through your body, and a clear glow is photographed. That was probably one of the earliest pictures of the energy field. So suffice to say, there is something, a glow. We now know from the work of Fritz Albert Popp that we emit biophotons. the more healthy we are, the more light we actually emit. Biophotons are when you put yourself in a dark room, you actually emit light. Not reflect it, but actually emitting light. And that's Fritz Popp's work. Any of you who these names are totally new to, I suggest you read Lynn McTaggart's The Field. It's a good introduction to the field. She's not a scientist, she's a writer, but she writes very well in a way. Lynn McTaggart. It's actually in the bookshop. Lynn McTaggart, The Field. She hangs out in Britain, and her husband is a very good, he's called Brian Hubbard. He's excellent at bringing down the fallacy that surrounds the pharmaceutical industry and the death by doctor, which Bruce was talking about yesterday. So Bruce talks about this. So this is Alex Gray's pictures. Are you familiar with Alex Gray? So obviously he depicts different layers of the field, and then we get into our muscles, and then our chakra systems and the matrix system, the zones and the esoteric side of things, the things that is yet to be really established scientifically. Okay, this is possibly more relevant to tapas. Now, we're going to be talking about TAT, and I've got some wild theories on TAT. But as you can see from this depiction here, we've got a third eye area, which comes out the back as well. Now, those 2 points are going to be the points that you're connecting with your hands when you're connecting your areas. And when I first saw tapas, for me, it automatically connected the heart chakra, which then comes out the palm chakras, connected the heart chakra to this and created this circle of loop into the heart. And that was, for me, I just saw that. And it was the first time we did it at ACEP. We filmed it live, a tapas treatment live on stage. And we saw the movements of energy as it happened, which was always great. And just a terrible picture of someone in a 50s bikini there. Don't know really where that came from. Sven Gorgi, a fantastic scientist. He invented synthesized vitamin C, won the Nobel Prize. Basically, he was a fantastic electrical engineer scientist who said that life is too rapid and subtle to be explained by the slow-moving chemical reactions and nerve impulses. So what he's basically saying here is the biology textbooks which say your nerve fires a neuron and it goes to the next one, it fires again. Life is too fast and spontaneous to be explained by those slow chemical reactions. Famously, he realized this when he saw a cat walking through the grass and seeing a snake, it jumped up out of its skin. And he just realized that it was just far too fast. And he was an amazing pioneer. Now, at this point, because I got enjoyable laughs, I will have to credit James Oshman, because I did steal it from him. He did tell me I could. And James is a fantastic speaker, amazingly keeps attention of people for 3-4 hours, talking dry science. And he does it somehow because what he's talking about challenges the establishment in the sense that it is science, but it's not what we're taught. It's not science. So at the moment, this is what's happening. We're looking, scientists are going and they're looking for something, but they're looking in the wrong place and they're missing what's right between their eyes. So, going on to James Oshman's stuff, can you see, by the way? I don't want to keep walking in your way. You can see there, okay. Let me tilt it so you can see more. James Oshman's stuff. Now James is if any of you haven't read James Oshman's Scientific Basis for Energy Medicine, get it read. Very simple. It's a must-read for any person working with any sort of energy. James Oshman, the Scientific Basis. At the end, I'm going to give a reference list. Okay, at the end, I'll put it up on here. But James Oshman is possibly my favorite person in the entire world. I'm a big Oshman groupie.
Is the reference list on the CD so we can pull it up?
Yes. Yes, okay. It's also on the bottom of this slide. Now, basically, this is our old model. This is what the biology textbooks say. They say there's a bag of cells and the connective tissues go past them, and what happens is something migrates into the center. It's a bag of water, and the atom bounces around until it hits something. And then it hits something, reacts, and bounces around again. Now, if that was the case, it would take you 10,000 years to digest your lunch because of all these reactions having to bump around. What actually is the case is that we've got this intercellular matrix. We've got collagen fibers, we've got intragenic cells splitting through all the different cells, splitting through all the different collagen fibers. So this is the connective tissue of the body here, and these are the cells. all these fibers going in and out, and what happens is it forms this lattice matrix, which is completely intertwined, and everything moves within that matrix of things. So it's not just a random big ball of liquid, and it randomly bumps. We are a connective matrix. We are a living crystal. So, living matrix system. All these parts are the living matrix system. What happens, we've got the connective tissues of the body, they're piezoelectric. You've all heard of piezoelectricity? Piezoelectricity is what happens when you get a quartz crystal, take it into a dark room, and hit it with a rubber hammer. It glows. The reason it glows is because it converts physical compression into energy. This is why quartz crystals power our watches, power our computers, our satellites, because what they do, they're piezoelectric, they convert pressure into electricity, or vice versa, electricity into pressure.
Is that piezo?
Well, you know, that's debatable. That is debatable. But it'll come up in a minute, and how I spell it. But Americans spell it differently, as they do some other things. We won't go into that. Okay, so the body is piezoelectric. The connective tissues of the body are piezoelectric. They go into every single cell, as you can see here. They move into every single cell. So we have a communication system which is like electrically instant that goes into every single one of our cells. As a result, also, something else, a property of crystals, is that they have a movable electron. Now, we're getting slightly into the physics side of things, and we'll move on to TAT in a minute. But a crystal, the reason why it has certain properties that it does is because it's got a lattice. And when you have a lattice structure, you have the electrons that are free in it become free-moving. And they don't become free-moving in the sense that you've got an electron here and it has to go like that. It becomes like a wave around the lattice. You've got an energy wave. You know about wave-particle duality? Anyone know about wave-particle duality? Excellent. Okay, so for those of you who don't, wave-particle duality is the fact that an electron can behave like a particle or a wave, depending on its situation. So this is the basis of quantum physics, actually, wave-particle duality. It was the start of where you couldn't really understand. Now, the other thing about it is we hold trauma and trauma memories in our trillions of cells. So the memory of water. We all know about Emoto's work. Do you know about Benveniste's work? Benveniste was a French scientist in Paris. Excellent. Dead now, unfortunately. But did some amazing research with putting frequencies into water and seeing the effects of that water. So what he did is he took, for example, arsenic, and he got the frequency of that, and he put it into the water with a coil. So the actual thing didn't go near the water. It was sealed water, and with a coil, he put the frequency into the water. And then he mixed that water with blood, and it behaved as if it had arsenic in it. Now, he was doing research for 50 years. It was challenged by the establishment. He finally designed an automatic machine which did everything, so he didn't go near it. And he sold these machines, and he worked with it, and he was fantastic. And he's little known, but if you look at digibio.com, digibio.com, a lot of his work is still up there.
Can you spell his name, please?
Jack Benveniste, Benvenistie, at a guess. I've only just learned how to say it. Okay. Again, the body's operating system touches every single cell. That's the principle we're talking about now. It touches every single cell. So where is your memory held? Everywhere. Is your memory in your mind? In fact, James Osmond said on his talk in Sweden, he said, you know, I've been thinking, I think that the brain is the only place in the body that doesn't hold memory. It's the only place in the body that doesn't hold memory. It's just the processing station of all the memory around. And it gets transmitted through the perineural system. If you don't know what the perineural system, Robert Becker. For any researcher, Robert Becker, body electric. Ooh, it made tingles in my body. And he is such a fight against the establishment. Okay, let's move on now to energy fields and energy medicine. This is one of the devices we work with. It's called PIP, Polycontrast Interference Photography. I've been doing some scans. Some of you have had the pleasure of taking relative amounts of clothes off in front of me and being photographed. What it basically does is it looks at light being absorbed from and reflected from the body. So it's basically a sophisticated light meter. And that's all it really is. So what we're doing here is we're trying to get an indication of how the body is absorbing and reflecting subtle light by how it's absorbing and reflecting visible light. Okay? It's a small little window like that, but it's what we've got at the moment. So here you can see, we call him Tony the White, because he's just healthy white. He's a lovely guy. He's a physicist and he meditates. I mean, that's my favorite combination of people. It's such a nice guy, a meditating physicist. I mean, the contrasts are beautiful. Anyway, he's lovely and white. And this was a lady we saw as a cancer patient. Unfortunately, she's dead now. But this was actually only several weeks before she died. And you can see there's quite a lot of trauma going on here, congestion in the heart and in the throat. But still, she's got this brightness in her crown. And this was probably her best state she was in. Towards the end, people tend to get better before. Yes, guys, you're very enlightened. There was one of our Qigong masters in Singapore and a Buddhist monk from UK. I just like the Buddhist monk. I mean, it doesn't really show much, but I just like them. So, this is gas discharge visualization, which is GDV, which is a type of Kirlyam photography. So, for those of you who know Kirlian, Semyon Kirlian, it's basically a electronic discharge around the body, around the hand. So what you do is you pass a very high voltage through the body, very low current obviously, otherwise you'd be dead, high voltage through the body, and you get this coronal discharge around, which is a spark of the gases that are emitted from the body when you pass this current through. So this guy, Korotkov, did a lot of work in morgues, so that's why he looks like that. Constantine Korotkov. And so what happens is he gets these images digitally now on a computer, on this thing, digitally captures them, looks like this, and then he applies it around on a figure around the body. Now that's a bit suspicious because I've tried to pin him down as to what it actually is that, how have you deduced that this little bit of the finger relates to this little bit of the body? And he's pretty much a bit, shady. So although you can show that there's something going on, I don't hold too much credence to where he positions it on the body. Kirlyam photography, which is just looking at the hands, is slightly more replicable. But I like this because it's simple. You don't have to be in a dark room. You just put your finger on the plate, beep, 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 it's done. Okay. Resonant field imagery. This is a United States invention. Basically what it's doing is it's looking at radio waves coming off the body and it's applying a certain formula. You put the radio frequencies in here that come off the different points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these different points, and you get a picture which gives you a diagnosis at the end. So these are just some of the devices we've been looking at to establish some sort of concurrent validity, work together, bring things together. We've got our different animals, our different breeds, and we work together. So the other thing we're using is psychometric tests. This was a PIP and a GDV trial we did, presented in the Exeter Symposium of Complementary Medicine in the UK. And what we did is we took PIPs and GDVs and RFIs and we compared them all together. So we tend to find that there's similar issues. This person's very healthy, and you can see from their field is very healthy. What tends to happen with the GDV is when they're not healthy, there's breaks in it. There's breaks. But here, all are very good up around the left-hand side. And as you can see, it's, up around the right-hand side. And as you can see, there's some breaks up around the head in the throat chakra area, which is where his issues are. I mean, he's a nice guy, and he's balanced, he eats very healthy, he works out, but he's a bit repressed in his expressions. He's a bit shy like this and doesn't really know what to say. But apart from that, he's a nice guy. So what we see is we saw some concordance with that. Okay, so on to the study, which you're, I'm sure, all here to talk about. It's a study we're still doing in Pune in India with one of our PhD students, Tunga. I won't even try her surname. She's actually Dr. Streeter's student. She's not mine. So hence why I've had to learn this stuff in a day, what she's actually doing. Even though I'm a psychologist, I know some of it. Anyway, exploring anger reduction techniques through TAT, Tapas. Great pleasure to have Tapas herself here. And anyway, straight trait anxiety expression inventory. That's the STAXI. And it was a STAXI 2 that we used, which is a psychometric to measure how angry you are, basically. It's quite validated. We're looking at PIP, which as you just saw. We're looking at GDV and resonant field imagery. We took 40 males who had a high trait anger score, and we put them into experimental groups and control groups. The experimental groups received TAT 3 sessions over 4 weeks. So not much, but it's just a little indication. The control group received nothing. And actually, we had quite a high dropout rate in India. It's hard to keep things going. But I've got a prelim results for 4 cases. So that's what I've got at the moment. This is from 4 case examples, right? This is the first client. So this is before and after 4 weeks. What we've got is our trait anger drops there's a significant drop here. Also, your physical scale, mental scale. These are other health scales. So health-wise, it's a mental health status or a physical health status. What we're actually finding, funnily enough, is that people are feeling less physically healthy and less mentally healthy, even though they're feeling less angry and less irritated. Less irrational. So they have less irrational beliefs and they have less anger, but also they're feeling this discomfort emanate in their physical and mental bodies. So actually feeling less comfortable physically and mentally, which is an interesting side effect, which didn't really...
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Is that particular picture on the handouts?
This is on nothing, because I made it last night.
Is there a way to get a copy of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it's... Yes. There's no reason why not.
What do you suppose is going on with that? Is that people are maybe adjusting because it's a different state and they're not used to it? You know how people get...
Okay, we'll talk about it more in terms of the memory of water. But for example, when people do yoga, the reason why they're being able to let go of certain memories during yoga is because they're opening certain ports in their body where memory is stored, physical ports. And what I'm suggesting, we'll talk about the theories behind Tapas, so I go a bit wild on that in a minute. But what I'm suggesting is that what you're doing is you're activating that memory, and that your body then has to process it. Even though you might feel you've activated and it feels good to you, somehow your body has to actually let that go in some way. And it's just...
So, is it safe to say that prior to that they felt comfortable with their anger and now they don't have that level of anger, so they feel a little bit...
Can't comment on that, but what I'm saying is they feel angry, and they feel quite physically happy with being angry. They don't feel like it's physically hurting. I suppose what it also could be is just a phenomenon that when you drop your anger, which is from the heart chakra, when you drop the anger, you become aware more of your physical and mental discomforts. It's almost when you're angry, you're kind of red with rage, you don't see things. So this is another possibility. It might not be that there's actually anything increasing, just your awareness is increasing, because it's all subjective analysis.
But it looks like on this scale that that's all dropping down. I don't see where you're...
Sorry, yeah. I mean, maybe I've not done it right. Okay, this is a good thing, because anger is dropping. This is a good thing, because irrational beliefs are dropping. And these two things are worse, because physical health is getting less. Mental health is getting less. I did cross them, and I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. We'll get on to a lot more, but go on, carry on.
Just from a clinical point
Yes.
of view, often anger covers up other emotions.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so my guess is that it might be...
Exactly. Now, what you see with the PIP, this is the PIP of that guy who we just saw the stats for. What you'll see often with the PIP is when shifts move, other things are revealed underneath, as you just said. Now, what we're seeing with these scans is in the face, I don't know how clearly you can see, but there's actually more congestion in the aftershot, in the head, in the actual head area. So there's more kind of angst there. Although the heart chakra at the back has opened up. Look at that, it's massively opened up. That's the biggest change here. And this area here has also opened up. Look how much brighter it's got. So what we're looking at here, for those of you who've not seen a PIP image before, is the amount of light that's being absorbed by the body. Here, he's absorbing less light than here. What that means, energetically, is that he's absorbing less subtle energy, so he's more balanced here. So what's happened here is the solar has opened up, the top of the heart has opened up, the back of the heart has opened up, but that has come up into the head. So there does seem to be something still going on in the head area. Now, yeah, so back.
That was after 3 sessions.
This is after
3 sessions?
Yeah, they're all standard after 4 weeks, 3 sessions. As you can see, there's all this tension here on the shoulders and the back of the neck has much cleared. So it's almost a weight off the shoulders type of thing. So again, this is an ongoing process of healing. It's only such a short time and a small amount of clinical trials we're doing. Yes.
Half hour?
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on each individual. As you can see here in the second client, we've got exactly the same pattern, but to lesser degree. Here, this isn't significant, and this isn't significant, but we've got the same pattern of dropping, and also the health side of things actually dropping. Morning. So this is that client, that said client. And again, what we're seeing is an opening up of the solar plexus, a more congestioning in the head. So the head, again, this is the second case. There's also the head has got more congested. But a clearing in the back of the neck. Again, we're seeing similar patterns. It seems to be the same patterns happening each time. And an opening in this area around the spine. But as we saw, his results weren't so significant, so we see less significant changes there. Oh, that line shouldn't be there. So here we see quite a big drop in the physical scale. Again, we're seeing same pattern here, same pattern here, same pattern extreme here, and a slight reverse here. But that's non-significant anyway. So we're a similar sort of pattern. Let's see what his PIP scans say. Are you okay for seeing here, by the way, in the corner? So what the PIP scans show is up the back, opening up of the heart area. But then there is this revealed congestion over on the left-hand side. Now, we talk about masculine and feminine sides, the yin and the yang. Love to understand the yin and the yang side of things. Everything's balanced about the right and the left. The left side tends to be a feminine side. The right side tends to be masculine. Koreans swap it, but I don't agree with that. So the right side is masculine, left side is feminine. So what we're seeing here is the opening up of this heart area leading to this revealing of this congestion on the left-hand side. So that could be, the back tends to be receiving energy. It could be receiving energy from your feminine side, from something to do with the feminine side. It's an unconditional love thing, so it might be an unconditional love from relationships, or from your mum, or even from your dad, because it's relationships. Throat chakra, we can see again, the congestion seems to rise into the neck. So it's increased in the neck area, although it's opened in this heart area. But if you look, this sort of heart area is quite heavy here and here. You've got congested bits, and it opens up, and it's almost slooshing down.
Can you explain what you mean when you say congested?
Okay. What we're looking at here is, this is it's like a thermal image, but it's a light image. So it's the intensity of light being absorbed and reflected from the body. So what I'm suggesting is that, well, where it's green, it's brighter, and then where it's orange, it's less bright, and where it's pink, it's less bright. So the colours are false. Don't get so confused with the colours. But what's happening here is, for some reason, the body is absorbing more physical light here. And what we're suggesting is that because it's absorbing...
How do you see that? Can you tell me?
Okay, you see this green?
Yeah, I see the green.
You see the pink?
Yeah.
The pink is a slower colour than the green. You just have to learn the colours. It's like thermal imaging. How do you know that, I mean, apart from we know that blue is cold and red is hot, how do you know that blue is cold and red is hot on a thermal image? Because you've learned that that's what the colours are associated with, hot and cold. So you just have to learn what the colours are associated with bright and dark. Green is white is the brightest, and then it goes this sort of yellow and greens, and it sort of filters down into the pinks and the purples and the blacks. So it's just a gradient scale. I can see that here because the green I know is brighter than the pink. And so there's all green surrounded here, and there's this pink line that strips across the heart, going up on the right-hand side.
And that's what opens up on the other side.
Yeah, you can see this opening here.
That's lighter.
Exactly, and here you've got a line across there, so it's like stuck in the heart. So it's opened this sloosh of the heart. And this is the person, don't forget, who had that big physical reaction. Physical reaction?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the person who dropped in his physical state. And he doesn't look physically happy. In fact, he looks much more physically congested. Now, we don't really know what's going on in his life, what he's been doing. I haven't been talking with him. I haven't studied him. But so we don't actually know what else is going on. So we can't associate this to TAT. But what we do know is that the PIP is correlating with the psychometric that we've got, and that some shift is going on. Okay, last case that I'll just show. Again, the same pattern. We've got a drop in trait. So we've got a drop in anger. Actively, they're less angry. We've got a drop in irrational beliefs. So these two things are concordant all the time. Again, we've got, it's non-significant. Again, we've got another drop in physical state. So we've got the same pattern as the one before. And what we've got here is, again, an increase around the throat area. An increase into this head area. So something's going on. There's a shift that happens, comes up for some reason. Maybe it has to be processed. An opening of the heart chakra. Congested here, much more active here. So the heart itself is opening up. Look at this big space here. That's opened in comparison to that little space there. And again, the solar plexus itself, again, has opened. But you see here, on the first shot, he's got this sort of energy slew going down, which is almost like a pouring, an outpouring of himself. And what's happened here is he's cut it off, which is good, because he's got to seal it, and you've got to have your distinct areas. If you just kind of open all out like this, you end up being so drained that you can't go on. You spread yourself too thin, and you just... So what he's done here is he's sealed that off. It's become much more active inside as a result of him containing himself. Also on the heart here, he had these two separate points, 1 and 2, which combine and open up in the heart chakra at the back, and less congestion here. Okay, let's go on to the exciting bit. Yes, Bill?
The time elapsed after treatment and before taking the PIP, is that consistent in every one of these?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's...
That does not affect then, can't this PIP change if you took the same person another 24 hours after treatment? Would the PIP be different?
There is quite a standardization with the PIP. It's not a transient tool. It's not like the Coggins Auracam in the hall. It's pretty stable. So if a change has happened, it's because a change has occurred.
Well, the reason I ask is, if like when I work on a client and there's a trauma in a certain place and I do acupressure there, and then it clears and there's no more pain there for them.
Yes.
But then they come back a week later and have the same pain but different trauma.
Yeah.
Going to the same place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're a complex lattice of a million different issues, so...
So that if you took a PIP with that person after they were cleared the first
Yep.
time, it would show one thing. But then as a week came on, maybe that new trauma came to this place and would show again with the old.
Yeah, it might show the same image, but it's unlikely. What you're likely to see is possibly the area where the symptoms are coming out. You're saying the same symptoms, but a different reason.
Yes.
Yeah. So the symptoms might also reflect in a place, but you might see a new thing. So maybe down here, maybe in the spleen or the liver, you might see something else come up. Exactly. And we're only just catching one layer here, whatever the most dominant layer is interacting with light. Yes.
So the PIP is taken directly after the treatment?
The PIP is taken before a treatment and directly after the last treatment.
Okay, before the first treatment and after that.
Exactly. 4 weeks later.
After the
Yeah,
third
okay.
treatment.
And then
After the third treatment.
next question
Yes.
is more theoretical. Is there a relationship between these lattices you're talking about and the neural networks, the identified neural networks?
Of course. I mean, they're all interlinked. This is the whole point. This is the Perineural System. So, yeah, that's all, unfortunately, that I've got to report on the research. But let's go on to just talk quickly about the conclusions. There's concordance between the STAC-C on anger and the PIP. TAT seems to increase the energetic congestion in the head, especially for those reporting a drop in mental health, which possibly encourages the consolidation process. As I said, I'm now starting to think, after I just said it a minute ago, that it's much more about being aware. It's about the awareness that's coming to it. So it's about the clarity of mind that's happening and the awareness that they're getting. So the PIP is obviously in alignment with what we measure on the psychometric of good health and good physical and mental health. Concurrent validity is the best way to validate these sort of things, and we love Tapas. It works. How? Why? Now we get exciting. Now I go out on a limb. Okay. Now, for me, as I said, the first thing when I saw Tapas is it's connecting the heart chakra to the third eye. Okay? possibly establishing a resonance between them. Now, what research has been done is shown that by Zimmerman, references will be, don't worry about writing now, Zimmerman using a squid machine which looks at magnetic fields from the hands. What it's showing is that the frequencies coming out of the hands of healers resonates, I think, didn't Roy spoke about this yesterday, they resonate between 3 and 10 hertz with an average being 7.8, 7 to 8, which is basically the Schumann resonance. You know what that is? It's the vibration of the Earth. The frequency of the Earth is a Schumann resonance, and it's basically 7.8 hertz, which is cycles per second. Hertz is a per second, so 7.8 would be, well, I can't do it. Anyway, it's very slow. That's ELFs, extra low frequencies. And the things that are damaging to us are like 50 hertz, 60 hertz, which is our power supply. Our power mains is 50 to 60 hertz, and that's the damaging to the cells. Anyway, the healing to the cells is 7.8 megahertz. So what I envisage is that you're creating a resonance between the third eye and the heart chakra. Unconditional love, that's my hippie feeling about it. And if you do this while the brain is holding negative memories, then perhaps you're interfering with the reconnection system of that memory. You're bringing the memory to service, you resonate with an unconditional love feeling to it, and you prevent the recoding of it. Prevent the recoding inside the brain, going to the amygdala, going to the perineural, the limbic system. The perineural system is interesting to learn about. It's a lot. It's hard to go into now, but it's interesting. I had actually a question when I was writing this, whether it's actually the heart being healed by the head or the head being healed by the heart. So when you're doing this and you're connecting your heart to your head, is it that way? Or is it your third eye, which is intuitive and spiritual, actually healing the hurt and the anger in the heart? I don't know. It's just throwing it out there. As Tapas said, you're linking the ends of the meridians with the ends of the meridians at the fingertips. There is a suggestion that I've heard that the meridians of the fingertips actually emit out the fingertips and circle back round on themselves. So there is, and I'm pretty sure this is the heart meridian. Is that correct?
Right.
Pinky is the heart meridian. So I'm not that sure, obviously. So that's why that's in brackets. Anyway, there is that linking of the meridians and touching of the third eye. Now, this is where we get exciting. This is my section. I love this. Okay, I suggest that we're setting up a standing wave, yeah, which is also known as a scalar wave. Torsion fields are standing waves as well. Scalar wave, which interferes with the pattern of recoding the negative event. Now, we'll talk more, don't worry. We also could be creating a torsion field, which is communicating to the brain. Now, we'll talk about torsion fields and scalar waves now, because that's the exciting bit for me, because it's the science. This is about the establishing a resonance with the brain. This is John Zimmerman, fantastic guy. Again, another pioneer in energy medicine. I need to know the time. At some point, could somebody tell me when I've got half an hour left? That'd be great. Thank you. So that's 9:30 I want to know. What's the time now? Okay, great. Loads of time. You can relax. Just have a little dance. Okay, so John Zimmerman, he used a machine called a squid machine, which works on what's known as a Josephson junction. A Josephson junction basically engages tunneling effect. So an electron tunnels through space and time to the other side of a semiconductor. Physicists go mad over this. They don't understand it. They don't get it. It's a quantum physics thing. It's a tunneling effect. An electron moves across a barrier it shouldn't be able to move across according to physics. Love that. And it's a device that's used all over the world now. You can buy one for about 20 million. And basically it's buried in concrete in order to not detect the other magnetic fields of the Earth. Because our frequencies, our magnetic frequencies are very little in comparison. Okay, but as we know, little things have big effects. I think that's my next slide. So this is a therapeutic touch. What we see, again, is before we've got this frequency of, we've got this frequency before, and after it moves into the range of 7.8 hertz. This is the frequency, this is the magnetic field of the body, actually of the head, of the brain. So what we're seeing is after a therapeutic event, we're moving into a resonance with the Earth, a harmony with the Earth. The Earth is 7.8, we move into 7.8. That is when we're most comfortable and most healing. So what we found, or what was found by John, we didn't, wish I did, is that healers resonate through they scan through a range of frequencies when they're emitting from the hand, a range of frequencies which average out at 7.8. So they jump to and from trying to scan automatically what is going on and what's needed, and it links into a 7.8 hertz. Okay. So again, there was further confirmation quite more recently. Zimmerman was in 82 or 3. Seto confirmed by looking at the frequencies emitted from the hand, and again with key emissions with Qigong masters. So basically, there's something coming out of the hands, and it's a frequency. Now we're using the hands in TAT, of course. Why do we use the hands? Who's seen the homunculus before? Have you all seen homunculus? I like him. I first met him in my psychology undergraduate degree. I just thought he was so cool. So this is what, for those of you who don't know, this is what we look like if all of our brain, all of the motor neurons in our brain were represented in our actual body. So obviously, girls, you'd have to take out the penis side of things. That doesn't mean you'd have a penis. Penis envy coming in here. Now, so basically, what I've put this in to show is the hands are a massive response. There's a response for the brain in the hands. So such a massive amount of the brain is taken up with the hands. It's just why the hands? Why not put our feet to our head? I mean, he still does have big feet, but not like that. So.
It looks like it's the mouth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely the mouth as well, which is what kissing's all about. I mean, for me, this is the amount of energy that we can put through certain things. So the bigger the area is here, the more we can put energy through that area. This is why when you kiss somebody, you can transmit energy. What's a kiss? It's a suck of nothing. I mean, why is it so special? Why do we feel so electric with a kiss? What is it? You know, why do we feel so electric when someone someone loving us, unconditional love, strokes us? What is it? What's going on? There's some sort of communication coming out. There's some sort of frequency coming out.
And the homunculus is correlated with the amount of sensory neurons that are going
Exactly.
to
Exactly.
That's what
Yeah. So, as we know, tiny fields can have big effects on cells, on body systems and everything. We know this from homeopathy, memory of water, emoto, cranial sacral therapy, things like TAT. Well, TAT's nothing, it's just one little thing, and suddenly people are healed. Suddenly people are moving dramatically with this little thing. They're not sitting with Freud and psychotherapy for 30 years. You know, there's no chemicals put in, so what's happening? What are these little things happening? The memory of water. I love Emoto. I love him just because he's so commercialized the understanding that Benvenisti worked on all his life and got no credit for. This is what happens if, for those of you who don't know who Emoto is, he's a Japanese dude, and actually there's some people here selling crystals purported to embody the principles of Emoto's work, and why not? Basically what he did is he got water. It's my commercialization coming out there, yeah? A rejection of commercialization, rejection of money. So he's taking the water. We don't need money. He's taking water and he's saying to it, I love you. And he's writing on it, I love you. Or thanks. Love and thanks. Writing love and thanks. And he's taking water and he's writing on it, you make me sick. I want to kill you. Which is a very Japanese thing to write, I think, you know, as a phrase. It's just, you know, in my head, Japanese war films. And that's the sort of thing I would imagine them saying, you know. Okay, no, it's just a cultural thing. It's great. So these are the crystals that are formed. Now what happens, he takes the water and he freezes it, fast freeze, not in your freezer at home, a fast freeze. And then he watches it defrost and he watches it with an electron microscope. And the electron microscope picks out these certain crystals. And what he's found is time and time and time again, the crystals that he's got love and thanks on, or an angel, or we love you, or whatever, form these fantastic different crystals. Each one forms its own crystal. So each phrase that he's putting on forms its own crystal. And when you've got things like, you make me sick, I hate you, it doesn't form any crystals. It's disordered. It's disordered. Now, remember about the crystalline matrix. Remember about crystals themselves. They've got free electrons. free electrons to flow when you've got a crystalline matrix. Okay? Now, what are the biggest health risks in the body? The biggest one single health risk, is free radicals. What are free radicals? Anyone know?
They're charges which break down, I think they're negative, but they break down multiple positives, right? They break down
What are they looking for?
they're looking for something to attach to, but they attach to
Okay, let me be a bit more physics, but thank you. They're looking for electrons. These are positively charged things. Free radicals are things that are missing an electron, and they're so buzzed about getting an electron, they'll come up to a molecule and they'll smash it until they get that electron. And what happens, obviously that's dangerous for our health, because that molecule that we needed has just been smashed up and it's destroyed. It's just, oh, I can't do my job anymore, and it's floating through the body. So the free radicals are destructive to our system. Now, free radicals are looking for electrons. Crystalline matrix, by its principle, by its structure, by its physics, has free-flowing electrons. This is a crystalline matrix. This is not. This is water. This is water. You put it under a mass spec, it's the same water. There's no difference in it. But there is a difference. One has a crystalline structure to it, and the other doesn't. This has free-flowing electrons to it. This doesn't. We're 80% water. 80% of us is water. If free radicals are the biggest danger to our health, which they are, and antioxidants, or things that are positive in electrons, things that have I won't use positive, things that have a lot of electrons are helpful to us, then we need to be doing something with our water. We need to be looking at the energetic structure of our water. We need to be blessing our water. Whatever form you take that. You want to thank God? Fine, thank God. You want to just see a vortex of light spinning in it? Excellent. You want to put crystals around it? You want to put it in the sunlight? Whatever. But don't just drink water from a tap or from a bottle, because it's dead. It's got no chi in it. It's got no prana in it. It's got no love in it. Put love into your water. Okay, scalar waves, scalar potentials. Now, this is an interesting map of the magnetic fields coming out of the head. As we can see, just where this tapas point is, on the head, we've got a big stream of magnetic fields coming out across. That's the third eye level as well. Stream of magnetic fields coming across. So, let's just talk a little bit about scalar waves. I don't want to get too bogged into it because it's physics. Scalar waves are hyperspatial waves outside space and time. Outside. They travel through the vacuum at superluminal speeds. What that basically means is, in the vacuum, they travel 7 to 8 times faster than light. I think I've got that figure somewhere. They can even go back in time, because they're outside time. Scalar waves are outside time. So there's a possibility that what we're doing is we're initiating scalar waves into our brain and undoing the memory, the traumatic memory that we had, that we set. Now, I'm going out on a limb. Don't worry about it. It's a limb. I'm just getting excited, you know? It's just a limb. Let's check it out. Tom Bearden would love what I'm saying, I'm sure, or totally disagree with it. Amazing physicist, way beyond my ability. Excalibur Dreams or something. I've got the reference at the end. He does some great writing. Check him out, Tom Bearden, if you can handle him. If you can handle Will Tiller, you can handle Tom Bearden. But I don't think many people can handle Will. Okay, so scalar waves move in space or time with the other remaining constants. So they can move at this point in space throughout time, instantly. Or they can move throughout time with space being, or throughout space with time being constant. So they can move everywhere at once in that moment, or in that moment. So it's one or the other, and they move through a combination of both. But they can't move through space and time at the same time. Yeah, you see how it gets complicated? See how it gets complicated. Okay, scalar waves hold scalar potentials. Now this is the information. This is the information they carry, and they can be programmed. So we can carry, on the scalar wave, it can carry a potential, a frequency, an information to communicate to wherever it's going to. Maybe that explains the water stuff. Communication through scalar waves. The brain is a scalar wave translator, or an inframometer. Inframometer is something that translates information from one form to another. These are and it all happens at the limbic system. This is why I'm suggesting that it's influence here, because the limbic system is our oldest part of the brain. It's the amygdala. It's where it holds all the emotional memory. It's connected to the hippocampus, the thalamus. It's the stuff that is our automatic road rage reaction. It's where the anger is, the amygdala. And there's some great things coming out of the psychoneuroimmunology, which is tapping the limbic system, but it's more like a psychology interaction. And obviously, what could be happening here is scalar waves are coming out of the hands, which I'll show in a minute. They are. Scalar waves coming out of the hands. If we're linking that here right to the pineal area, the third eye, this goes straight into the limbic system and reconnects the amygdala. Because the amygdala is the point that picks up that. These are the magnetic fields of the center of the brain. These are the shapes. And you'll be recognizing some of these shapes from esoteric work. You know, where did these shapes come from? This is Irons and Rosen bridge. Oh, they're great. It's to do with harmonic resonance. There's such beauty in the physics of things. Okay, magnetism is a very important factor in all of this. This is the old view of magnetism. You've got something that goes to one side, north to south. Okay, this is actually how magnetism is working. What you've got is you've got it going into the center and out again, because you've got a spin. Magnetism has a spin. A north pole has a spin and a south pole has a reverse spin. Okay? This is how the old view of the Earth, this is actually what's going on. Okay, now, this is the spin factor here. At the center of the magnet, in the middle, imagine you've got a north and a south. One side spinning one way, the other side spinning the other way. That's hard. And you get into the center, and then what happens there in the center? There has to be a switch. And then they go out the other way. And what happens is there's this switch here. This is the magnetic fields. They're spinning, spinning, spinning. This one's spinning the other way. And they get into the center, and oh, that's a familiar shape. Anyway, they get into the center, and they switch over, and then they go out the other way. Now, at this switch point is called the block wall. The block wall is fascinating. It's an area of zero magnetism. There's no magnetism there. Where do magnets get their strength from? Where do magnets get their energy from? You've got a magnet. It is a power to it. It's got a power. Where's it pulling it from? Lynn McTaggart's The Field is a good way to get an understanding of possibly what it is. What I'm suggesting from other people's work is that it's pulling it in through the block wall. The block wall is a converting station to pull in from the 0 point field. Anyone know what the 0 point field is? You do. Anyone know what the 0 point field is? The 0 point field is the underlying sea of energy that exists everywhere. Throughout space and time, forget time, throughout space, it's not physical matter. It's an underlying kind of like background radiation, but it's not radiation. It's a 0 point field. It's the energy that remains when you freeze things to absolute zero. Einstein says, nothing moving, there's no energy. But there is. There is a sea of energy underneath. It's called the 0 point field. The field that exists at 0 point energy. So there is more energy in this 0 point field, 10, Lynn McTaggart gives a nice figure, 10 with 18 zeros after it, times more energy in the 0 point field than all the matter in all the universe. Okay? So there's a lot of energy here. And if we can tap it, we can pull energy into it, unlimitless energy. So magnets are pulling in, perhaps through this block wall, an area, they're pulling in energy from the 0 point field. What's this got to do with anything? Have we got actually an explanation of anything? Okay. At a block wall, i.e. where two magnetic reverse fields are meeting, the forms a standing wave, an area of stress, space-time stress, when two opposing fields meet, which results in a torsion field. Now, torsion fields, we've talked about. Torsion fields are spin. Torsion fields are about spin. It's about spin of magnetic fields. This is the left hand. Oh, sorry, okay. This is the left and this is the right hand. Now, you can see that this is how it happens. Funnily enough, contrary to my kind of understanding of energy movement, right is giving, left is receiving, but actually from the left, you've got a centrifugal outwards Centrifugal is out, centripetal is in, yeah. Centrifugal out energy coming out and down through the left hand, because the left palm is a north pole, and that comes out and expands and goes down, and south comes in and compresses. Okay, so these are just some of the ways that the magnetic fields are coming out of the hand. There's a spin field coming out, and with that spin comes information communicated out. Bill?
I was taught that our energy flows by the right-hand rule of electricity, and I know that I'm right-handed, I transmit right-handed, but I've worked with people who are opposite. And yet there have been times when I've been working with somebody, and I think I'm changing by intention. So is that...
Yeah, no, totally. I think there are different things going on here. You know, like, God, I don't know his name. The great speaker on different types of energies. Don't mix your energies. Whatever his name. Yeah, thank you. I think there's actually different things going on here. This is our masculine side. Okay, this is our will, our self-esteem, our confidence, our we can do it, we're going to do it, we're going out and doing it. And that we've all got that. That's our masculine side. It's our right side. That's the way it is. Left side, it's our nurturing side, it's our caring side, it's our encompassing side, language side, all those different things. But what I'm saying is, the reason I think that energetically most people heal through their right, give and receive, is because they've got this they've got this masculine, feminine filter on their ego, which makes them, that's how they understand the universe of energy moving. You know, there's no universal rules to how this energy moves. It's all on our guise. We've got a pair of glasses on. You know, some people look over your head and go, well, I see your angels. Another person comes and sees the same person and goes, oh, I see your animal guides. Another person says, I see your colours. Another person says, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't see anything. So it's not that you've got all these things there. It's that there is an energetic structure, and we, as subjective humans, tune into that and try and understand what it is that's going on. And we use what we understand from the universe and the rules of the universe to almost imagine those things. I'm not saying they're not there, but they're not there. I'm not saying... Did you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you can't call on angels and say, angels, come and heal me. And they'll do the work. But they're not angels. That's just how you understand that energy. Because you don't have the ability to understand how they really are. It's like you couldn't get their true form, which is just a boundless energy. You just can't comprehend it. We don't have the ability as humans to get that. So we have to apply our rationale of beliefs of the universe to that energy to understand it. So on another streak, there is this torsion fields. Now I want to do a little bit of experiment. Get your hands free at some point, all of you. Now this is like the chi experiment we did yesterday, but I think it's slightly better. That's my Leo side coming out. Be a bit more subtle. Okay, now we're going to just play with our torsion fields. Torsion fields are the spin. Now, we know that the spin coming out of the left hand is a north pole, and it's coming out. And it's spinning left hand back, left hand palm. It's spinning anti-clockwise. And the right hand is spinning, this is coordination for you. The right hand, the palm, is spinning clockwise. So spin your hand. It might be easier if you do it here first and then twist it in. This is clockwise, and this is anti-clockwise. So that's easy. Wash on, wash off. Does that look familiar? Huh? Why do you think he was doing that? Now, can you actually feel what's going on just as you do this? It's a simple thing. Just as you do this, you can actually... my hands are very heavy at this point. So I've been practicing this in my room. Do this with all my group. It will be great. Okay, now, just try and keep that... try and keep that... It's hard. You have to have some awareness of it. This is what you're doing. You're spinning one way with one hand and the other way with the other hand. Now you might start to sense things if you can just get it done. Okay, it becomes a lot easier when you're treating a client because you're not doing it to yourself. But this is the practice. This is why it's hard, because what we're doing is we're communicating with ourselves through torsion fields here. If we had a client, say the table is my client, and I'm doing this, it's a lot easier. You see? It's a lot easier because I'm flat on it, and what I'm doing there is I'm creating a torsion field between this hand and this hand, and it's going, And that's communicating information. Now, just try spinning the other way. Any difference? Easier, lighter? Exactly. You're doing the reverse. Is there any difference there? It's amazing how much the spin is different to if you just go like this, or you just go, you're just doing your energy. You just stay with your energy like your chi. I mean, for me, I can do that, but it's nothing like that. When I'm actually going on torsion fields, there's a big movement going on there. And just try it on your clients. If you're doing energetic therapies in any way, try doing some spin. Try just following your instincts and doing that spin. And you can, like now, I've got this torsion field here because I've got this right angle and I'm creating that. And you can just sort of hold it over somebody and it does the work. I mean, it's communicating that realignment. Okay, we can transmit information through torsion fields. Magnetic fields create torsion fields. That's why we can create them. We've got magnetic fields coming out of our hands. It's proved. Magnetic fields together create torsion fields. It's also established, although people don't like torsion fields. Just a bit of facts for you there. The south pole, which is the right hand, is got a positive polarity and it spins clockwise. The left hand, which is a north pole coming out, a negative polarity and it spins counterclockwise, which is centrifugal outwards and centripetal inwards. Torsion fields. Woo. Okay, that was my figure I wanted for the speed. That's the speed, 10 times 9. That's 10 with 9 zeros after it. Faster than light in a vacuum. They go into the future as well as the past. They're outside space and time. They're torsion fields. They're great. They transmit information across long distances without a loss of energy. So what, buddy? Again, I've got to thank James because I did rape his slideshow for these pictures because I think that's how he does it. He's not exciting in his talks. What he's saying is exciting, but he's very scientific and he might slip a little joke in, but it keeps people's attention for hours and hours. And you're at the end and you're like, how did I stay awake? And I still know it all. Anyway, so he slips these little things in, which I think is what he does. So let's torsion fields from the hands. Now, torsion fields are sort of similar to scalar. Sorry, we're still back on torsion fields. Wait. Okay. Magnets from one pole to the other being transmitted. Okay, so what we're actually doing here when we were trying that experiment just then is we've got a spin coming from the right, we've got a spin coming from the left, spin coming from the right, and in the middle where they create this sort of space-time block wall. It's like it's a region of space-time stress because when you've got this north and south meeting, one spin meeting the other spin, remember the magnet? Remember the magnet here? Just imagine the magnet's not here, and you've got a spin field coming out and a spin field coming in. They meet in the middle. What do? They switch. They form an interlude. They combine. They cross. They form a region of space-time stress, a block wall in space and time. Block walls. Out of block walls come scalar waves and torsion fields. So, you've got a bit better description here of what's going on. Right hand, left hand, spinning in, spinning out. Vector potentials, this is what you're pulling in from the back of the hand. You've got a vector potential. Basically, because it's moving through the hand, you've got something that needs to be pulled in from somewhere. How's it pulling in? From what? From where? I love it. What's it doing? Again, the right palm is south pole, spinning clockwise with a positive polarity. That's a centripetal. I got that right, didn't I? Centrifugal. No, I think I got it wrong. Centrifugal is out, centripetal is in. Yeah. Centripetal is into the center, and centrifugal is out. So going in and out. This is why we're talking about, you're using your right side to give and to put energy in. But when you use torsion fields, I think it's the reverse. But I don't think it's so much coming in and out of you. I just think you're setting up a field where they meet. It's not that it's coming in and out of you. And this is where it connects with this. Healers aren't really doing anything. It's not coming through you. You're not like, oh, I'm powerful healer, yes. No, you just you set up a situation at a point external to your physical body which does the healing for you. You set up a field, a wave, a torsion. I don't know how much we've got left. Final say, I think we're near the end. We'll have to have questions. Ooh. So, when we connect the hands to the head, or any other part of the body, we're setting into play a complex set of communication. It's not just holding our hands up. We're communicating with ourselves, and we're also setting up, don't forget, if we're just here, there's a spin coming out of one hand and of the other. And I wanted to ask you yesterday, do you find any difference when people do from the right hand or the left hand?
One of my friends has said there is a difference.
Because I would...
At the end of that, doing both for an integration.
Yeah. See, I'd imagine, I noticed on just that picture from Mexico, I noticed that all the girls were left-handing, were right-handing, and all the guys were left-handing. So I mean, there was one that wasn't, but that was just the thing I noticed. Because for me, I would kind of imagine that any issues you're going to have are going to tend to be with your opposite thing that you don't have, you know? The men would have it with their feminine side, and the women would have it with their masculine side. Because men, it's easier for us to be masculine, and women, it's easier for you to be feminine. We each have the challenge of incorporating our other sides into ourselves. These aren't masculine and feminine, not really masculine and feminine. They're just black and white, positive and negative. It's just left and right. It's, it's just one side and the other. It's not actually, it's just how we understand it, masculine and feminine. It's not really anything like that. Yes, Bill?
I was just going to say, when I was talking about the right hand and left hand, all the people who I know who are left hand are women.
All your left-handers are women, yeah.
They're in
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any research that's been done. My dad is such a gentle soul, and he's left-handed. So,
I mean that they're left-handed. When they actually are using their hands for healing or
oh, I see.
They cross because they know that they transmute the opposite of
Well, here's another thing. You're talking about crossing, yeah. Talking about crossing, there's a Polarity Therapy. You've heard of that? It's basically you cross over. What it's obviously doing is you're connecting that kind of that vortex, that what you see. Even when you cross this, you're creating a block wall at your wrists. You know, you're creating a block wall because you've got a magnetic field on one side and on the other, and you're creating something just by simply crossing your hand. And it's a very effective treatment, Polarity Therapy. It's very interesting. Something worth exploring. Okay, so we're setting into play a complex system of communication through the chakra system, through the meridian system, through the piezoelectric conductivity of the connective tissue. So do not forget, or I should put it another way, remember that our body communicates with itself continuously, electrically, magnetically, other ways, torsion fields, scalar waves. When my words are coming out and they're bouncing off the atoms in the air and they're hitting your body, you don't just hear it here. You hear it all over your body. Your whole body hears me. As much as you want to close your ears, you can't. You can't close your ears and you can't close your body because that's all, it's all hearing. And light, it receives torsion fields. Everything is being encoded into you. You just think you're up here. And obviously, you know, as intuitives, we recognize that we're not just up here, but we still are. I'm still here behind my eyes now going like this, hello. Yeah? But if I stay and be still, I cannot be. So, the perineural system is a fascinating system. Basically surrounds the brain, it's grey matter, surrounds the brain, goes down the spinal cord. It's Becker's work, Robert Becker. Fantastic guy. We love him. Just because he fought against the establishment so much. He was a hardcore scientist, hardcore biologist. Doctor, MD, did research with regrowing limbs. Actually managed to regrow a limb from here to here. Like a salamander regrows its limbs. His funding was removed. He was taken out of office, blah, 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 blah. Fighting against it all. Read The Body Electric, because he talks about it in there. He also talks about the research. He's just great. Anyway, the perineural system is a possible system of superconductivity, super piezoelectricity. So it's super spiced. And it goes around the brain and down the spinal column. This is why cranial sacral therapy works so well. You know what cranial sacral therapy is? It's just light, very delicate movements, vibrations along the spinal column. And you're tuning in. It's funny because it's osteopathy. Sorry, it's osteopathy, but it's cranial sacral therapy. And it's so funny because all these osteopathists who used to go, yes, crack your bones like this. You go into the office, you go for a session, they just put their hands on your body and go like that. That's £100, please. Right? If I wanted to go for healing, I'd go to a fair. Or go to my local healer. I'll do it myself. Anyway, there is something that's going on there. What you're doing is you're communicating very subtle frequencies, waves, maybe torsion fields, maybe scalar waves, maybe the end of the meridians, to the spine, which is telling everything to relax. It's just very subtle. And you listen to the return of it. That's about it.